Why did I marry her? That's the only question that ricocheted through my skull as I stared at the divorce papers on our kitchen table right next to a framed photo of our wedding day. The ink from my signature was still wet, a stark black line severing 7 years of my life. 7 years I thought were built on love, but were actually built on a foundation of lies so deep they could swallow a man whole. It all started subtly, like the first crack in a dam, tiny, almost imperceptible shift in the current of our lives. Her name was Jessica. She started turning her phone face down. Every single time a message came in, it a little buzz on the countertop, followed by her hand, quick as a viper, flipping it over. "Just work stuff," she'd say, her smile a little too bright. My boss is so needy. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? This was Jess, my Jess, the woman I slow danced with in our tiny Chicago apartment, dreaming of the future. The woman who held my hand when my father passed. But the work stuff started coming in late, midnight, 2 a.m. The screen would light up our dark bedroom, and her hand would shoot out, extinguishing the light and any questions I might have had. Then came the girls' nights. They became more frequent, stretching longer into the weekends. I'd call and she wouldn't pick up. A text hours later would say, "Sorry, babe. So loud in here. Love you." But her voice when she came home was different. It lost its warmth. Her hugs felt rehearsed, her kisses a duty. I felt a cold knot forming in my gut, a constant low-level dread that something was fundamentally broken. I started looking for evidence, hating myself for it. I felt like a spy in my own home. Found a receipt once, tucked into her coat pocket. Dinner for 2 at a fancy Italian place downtown. The date was a girls' night. The bill was over $300. I remember my hand shaking as I looked at it. 2 entrees, a bottle of expensive wine. Who was she with? The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place on a Tuesday. I had a terrible migraine and came home from work early. As I walked up to our front door, I heard laughter from inside. A man's laughter, deep and confident. It wasn't mine. My key froze in the lock. I could hear Jessica's voice, light and flirtatious, in a way I hadn't heard in years. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. I backed away from the door, my world tilting on its axis. I sat in my car across the street for 2 hours, my migraine forgotten, replaced by a blinding, searing pain in my chest. I watched him leave, tall, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my car. He kissed her on our doorstep, long possessive kiss, and she let him. She smiled, that genuine, beautiful smile I thought was only for me. That night I broke. I drove out to Lake Michigan, parked the car, and just screamed. I screamed until my throat was raw, until tears streamed down my face. The man I was, the trusting, loving husband, died right there on the shores of that cold, dark lake. When the screaming stopped, something else took its place. An icy calm, a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Revenge wasn't just a thought. It was the only path forward. She hadn't just cheated. She had humiliated me, played me for a fool in our own home. He wasn't just some guy. He was a symptom of her profound disrespect. They thought they were untouchable. They were about to find out how wrong they were. The next morning, I was a different man. I made her coffee, just like always. I kissed her goodbye as she left for work, the ghost of his lips on hers. But my mind was a whirlwind of calculations. I became a detective. My life's mission to uncover every single lie. I put a voice-activated recorder in her car. I installed a keylogger on our home computer. The things I found were worse than my darkest fears. The recorder captured hours of their conversations. His name was Marcus. He was a senior partner at a rival firm. They mocked me. They called me the loyal golden retriever. Predictable. Boring. They laughed about how easy it was to deceive me. Jessica complained about our finances, our stale life. All while planning a weekend trip to Napa with him using my money from our joint account. Keylogger revealed emails, hotel bookings, chats filled with things that made my stomach churn. She was planning to leave me, but not before she secured a hefty divorce settlement. Coached by Marcus on how to play the victim, I didn't confront her. Oh no, that would have been too easy, too merciful. I let them get comfortable in their little bubble of arrogance. I played the part of the oblivious, devoted husband to perfection. I suggested we host a big anniversary party, 7-year celebration of our perfect marriage. Jessica loved the idea. It was a chance for her to parade her life, her success. She invited all our friends, our families, even her colleagues. And she invited Marcus. Of course she did. She introduced him to me as her mentor from work. He shook my hand, a smug, condescending smirk on his face. He had no idea he was shaking hands with the architect of his downfall. The party was in full swing. Laughter, music, champagne flowing. My parents were there, her parents were there. Everyone who mattered in our lives. I got up to make a toast. I raised my glass, my hand perfectly steady. To Jessica, I began, my voice clear and strong. Everyone cheered. 7 years ago, I married the woman I thought I knew. I want to thank her for teaching me some very valuable lessons. Her smile faltered, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. She taught me that trust is fragile, and that work stuff can be a lot more personal than you think. I saw Marcus shift uncomfortably. She also taught me that our home can host some very surprising guests when I'm not around. The room fell silent. I looked directly at Jessica, her face now pale. And so, in the spirit of honesty that Jessica has so clearly embraced, I have a little anniversary video for us all to enjoy. I clicked a button on my laptop, and the large screen we'd set up for a photo slideshow flickered to life. It wasn't photos. It was screenshots of their texts, transcripts from the car recorder, the dinner receipt, an audio clip of them laughing about the golden retriever. The room was dead silent, the only sound the damning evidence playing out for everyone to hear. Her mother gasped. My father just stared, his face like stone. I saw Jessica's carefully constructed world crumble in real time. Her face went from shock to panic to pure, unadulterated hatred. Marcus tried to slip out the back, but my two best friends, who I had told everything, were blocking the door. Then, a man in a suit walked through the stunned crowd and handed a thick envelope to Marcus. It was a formal complaint to the State Bar Association. With meticulously documented evidence of unethical conduct, using company resources for his affair and conspiring to defraud a partner's spouse, another man handed a similar package to Jessica's boss. Her career was over. Finally, I looked back at Jessica. Tears were streaming down her face, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of rage. How could you? She whispered, her voice trembling. I leaned in close, my voice low. How could asterisk? You built this prison, Jessica. I just locked the door. I walked away, leaving her alone in the center of the ruins of her life, surrounded by the silent judgment of everyone she knew. I didn't look back. The next day, I filed for divorce, presenting my lawyer with a mountain of evidence that ensured she wouldn't get a single penny more than she deserved, which was nothing. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The house is quiet now, filled with echoes and ghosts. I sold most of the furniture. It felt tainted. Sometimes late at night, I'll walk through the empty rooms and think about that day. I don't feel triumph or joy. I don't feel anger anymore. I just feel quiet. Love, the rage, the pain. It all burned away, leaving behind a cold, hollow space. She destroyed my ability to trust, and I, in turn, annihilated her entire life. Sometimes I wonder who got the worst end of the deal. The end.